This is the Playseat Formula Instinct F1 branded racing rig. But just because it's got the F1 logo on it, does that make it any good? Well, let's jump straight in with the pros then. And first of all, it's a good looking rig. I really like the design of this thing. I like the white touches. Obviously the red F1 branding is really nice along with the black Playseat logo. I think this is a really nice looking rig. And honestly, the simpler the better sometimes. Sometimes some rigs can look like alien contraptions with the amount of different things they've got on them, but this one just keeps things simple and is better for it. It also makes it relatively easy to build. Now, I did build it on stream. It took me about 2 hours, which is probably longer than it would normally take you if you were not streaming and getting things wrong and having to redo them. I do feel like the instructions could be a little clearer in places. There was a couple bits that I managed to get on backwards and had to completely redo, which is a bit of a pain. But all in all, it just fell together easily. It wasn't like I was puzzling going, what the hell do these instructions mean? For the most part, it was a minimal number of parts in the box and it just fell together fairly easily. I was happy with that. And what was really nice as well is that all the tools were in the box. There was 3 different Allen key sizes, but everything was in the box. There was even extra bolts to mount the wheel to the rig itself. So I literally didn't need anything else other than what came in the Playseat box and then my wheel and pedals. That was it. Everything was there. Not a single extra tool was needed. And that was really, really nice. But my first concern was how solid is that footplate? It just looks, doesn't it, a little bit weak and like it's going to bend or like it's going to be moving around. But actually, once it's built, it's really solid. I think the reason is, although you've got that arm that holds up the back, which makes it feel like that's going to be a weak point, in actuality, obviously, you only press forward on pedals, you never pull them towards you. So actually, that arm is rock solid. You can't stretch metal. Realistically, you're not going to stretch steel with your foot. Even if you're running pretty heavy load cell brakes, it's not going to happen. So actually, the foot plate is completely fine. It doesn't bend, it doesn't flex, it's fine. It's pretty easy to adjust as well. You've got certainly lots of different angles and stuff that you can get there. I personally went for a relatively flat layout, as you can see, but there was a number of angles there. It definitely could have been easier to adjust. We'll get onto that in a little while in the cons. But for the most part, footplate, although it looks like it could be a weak point, actually completely fine. And in terms of mounting a wheel to it then, well, I mounted my Thrustmaster T818 to it because it was the official F1 Ferrari wheel, which felt like the right wheel to put on an official F1 rig. And yeah, it just went on nice and easy. The holes were in the right place. There's quite a lot of slots where, you know, you've got variable widths there. So I can't seem to find a list online anywhere that lists exactly which wheels work with it. But the one I tried at least fit completely fine. And then jumping in the rig, honestly, it's pretty comfortable. I had my worries about it being a Formula rig. It doesn't look like the best shape for your back necessarily, but actually the foam was nice and soft. You can also move those little pads up and down to your preference. I spent about an hour or so in the rig and didn't feel remotely uncomfortable. There was no pain points, there was no difficulty. I didn't have to groan as I got back out of it. So it was really solid. And I also like that it's low to the ground. So previously on other rigs, you may need to have had a table or something next to you to put, you know, your drink and your keyboard if you're on computer, or your maybe game controller if you're on console, or your TV remote. Honestly, because this is on the floor, it means you've got the entirety of the floor around you to place things on. It's such a weirdly stupid thing, but being low down, I guess if you maybe struggle to get down on the floor, might not be so good for you. But for me, being low down was nice because I had the whole floor around me to just put things like my keyboard and mouse. It was just a weirdly nice touch. But in terms of actually driving with this rig then, I was impressed. It wasn't completely rock solid like you've got your wheel attached to a rock. No, it wasn't that solid, but it was honestly solid enough. I think it would be more solid than most people's desk, unless you've got some sort of ancient, you know, 5-ton oak desk. Honestly, it was really solid. I was really impressed with it. I didn't feel like any movement in the rig was negatively affecting me. It felt solid to sit in. It didn't feel like I was going to make it collapse or it was going to tip over. Everything was solid. I even, you know, had a powerful direct drive wheel on it. And even when I had the force wheel turned up to the highest it would go and I was messing about getting slides and stuff, it honestly felt really solid. It didn't concern me at all. Any flex that was in the rig, honestly, it was completely fine. Real solid, really good build quality. But let's move on to the cons then, the things that weren't so good about this rig. First up is the adjustment. Now, in theory, it's all fairly relatively easily adjustable and, got lots of adjustment, minimums and maximums, but in reality, it's just a bit fiddly. If you are buying this rig just for you and you are pretty much the only person that will ever race in it, completely fine. You set it up the first time, it's not that much effort, sorted. But if you are the sort of person that likes to get friends around maybe to have a go in it and they're different shapes and sizes, as humans tend to be, it is a bit of a pain to adjust. Take the seat, for example. It's got nice easy hand knobs that you just adjust. There's two on each side, that's nice and easy. But then you have to slide the entire back half of the rig essentially along those two rails, which is just difficult to do. Not only is it quite heavy to lift up, but it's not that easy to slide. Look, the price is good. So I'm not expecting a perfect seat rail here. As I said, if it's just you using it, it's completely fine, but it is a bit of a fiddly thing to do. Then also the foot panel, again, sort of similar. You need an Allen key for that. And then you can kind of take it off and you just sort of got to take it to pieces. I actually found I was having to take off the F1 logo plate just to get to the bolts a little bit easier. It just makes it easier to adjust. It takes literally, it's about 4 times quicker if you take that off rather than trying to do it in behind it. And then of course you've got the wheelbase itself. Now that has got some real nice easy handles to adjust the angle of the wheelbase plate. That's what I'm going to call it. Which is great because that in theory sort of does height a little bit, but mainly does, away from you and closer to you. Fantastic, really, really easy. But that doesn't adjust the angle of it. So in reality, if you go from having it quite far away from you to moving it quite close to you, what you end up with is the wheel is just sort of facing your lap. So you then have to angle the wheel upright, which you can do, but again, requires an Allen key. Only 2 bolts. Again, it's not hard and it's not difficult. It's really intuitive. It's just not the sort of thing you want to be doing regularly. So is simplistic to adjust, but takes a bit of time and is a little bit fiddly, I think would be how I'd conclude that. And then if you wanted to move it around as well, on the Playseat website, they actually talk about it being sort of, easy to store away and things like that. And sure, okay, you can sort of tilt the seat up or you can put the wheel base stand into the seat or whatever, and that maybe saves some vertical space. But as you can see, when I first brought into my office, it's not that easy to move about, I'll be honest. It's pretty heavy, it's over 20 kilos in weight. By the time you add a half decent direct drive wheel to it, which you probably will be doing if you're buying a dedicated rig, it is movable. It's just not very easy. There wasn't really any way I could figure out, barring just dragging it on the carpet on the 2 bars, which made the ends pop out of the bars, by the way. I just couldn't find an easy way to move it. And then even just trying to move it, 30 centimeters further in, it's just big, heavy and laborious. Ideally, you want to keep this rig in one place. You can move it. I've certainly seen a lot worse rigs for moving. It's not that bad at all. It's just also not easy. So then finally, what would my suggestions be to Playseat for improving this rig, making it better without overhauling it? Well, first of all, I'd add a couple of wheels to the ends of one of the bars just so that you can just lift it right up and then just wheel it around. Literally 2 wheels on one end would fix it completely. So that would definitely be a nice touch. I'd also add some cable tidies to the bar so that when it comes from the wheelbase down to wherever you got your cabling, it's just going to stick to the bar then, just literally a little plastic clip or something so it sticks to the bar rather than potentially sort of getting in amongst the pedals or just looking messy. Again, real simple, cheap thing to do, but would be a real nice touch. I'd also then add some what I'm calling thumb screws or, just sort of big knobs, sort of like they've got honestly on the wheel, on the, seat base. Just add that to everywhere, anything you can move, just so that you can just quickly, by hand, without needing to go find an Allen key, just turn it and adjust it however you want to. That would be a really nice touch. For example, the angle of the wheelbase. You need to go get an Allen key. It's just difficult. Put a little knob there, maybe a little extendable knob so you can get to it easy. Just quickly unscrew them, adjust the angle, tighten it. Super easy. Again, minimal cost there, but would just make it that much more usable. But anyway, overall, should you buy the Playseat Formula Instinct rig? Well, I have to say, I think it's worth it. It's €599 or 519 British pounds. The F1 logo is just pretty much a logo as far as I can see, but there isn't an unbranded version. So, I don't feel like it's a inflated cost just because it's got the F1 logo. It does look good. You're in the F1 seating position. I genuinely think the F1 branding does add to this rig, and they've been able to keep the prices reasonable. I think if you're looking for a Formula rig or an F1 rig and this is in your budget, I do think this is a great choice for you, especially if they can add those little tweaks I mentioned in a V2 maybe. But even without those, honestly, if it's just for you, in particular, if you're just going to leave it in one place, honestly, it's a really good recommendation. The other thing, of course, is it doesn't come with any kind of monitor stand or anything like that. So you need to be able to either put it in front of a TV or do what I did and be able to move your monitor closer. You can buy a monitor stand separately, but then that sets you back an extra couple £100. So yeah, it's not a complete rig, but in terms of what it is, honestly, it's decent. It was really solid. It didn't move much. Even when I had it on high force feedback settings, I was impressed with the Playseat Formula Instinct rig. Would recommend.